On the long, flat run between Abilene and Amarillo, the highway behaves like a belt sander, steady, numbing, able to grind down everything except the faintest, stubborn ridge of fear. I haul refrigerated meat, a humming white coffin behind me, thermometer flickering a steady 36 degrees Fahrenheit on the digital dash. The road is a matte ribbon under a moon, like a cheap bulb. It's the kind of stretch where the sky and the asphalt learn each other's names, and a man forgets his own. I first saw her at mile marker 146. Yellow rain shell, dark jeans, one strap of a small red backpack, slung crosswise, as though she'd started to run and then remembered not to. Right arm out, palm down. The old country, please stop. You still see in farm towns. Head bowed, hair stuck to her cheeks like pencil smudges. No cars in my mirrors, no hazard lights, no stalled sedan angled on the shoulder. Just her and the sigh of crosswind through the mirror braces. I blew past once because that's what I do. We learn to stack reasons between ourselves and other people's emergencies. Company policy, liability. This isn't a safe shoulder. You can't trust anyone at 2 a.m. 1,000 small denials add up to one big habit. I carried on and told myself I'd call it in at the next station, but the next station never arrives as quickly as you promise yourself, and the road eats promises for fuel. I glanced in the mirror. She was still there, a yellow pin in a long black ribbon. The CB was quiet, except for a trucker, 2 counties over, jawing about a way station that wasn't even open. I thumbed my dash cam to drop a tag, just a reflex from running nights. And the camera hiccuped, a square of static, fizzing and clearing like a thought you don't want to think. 20 minutes later, the road bent around a low mesquite stand, and there she was again. The same jacket, the same red backpack, the same right arm out, palm down, mile marker 146, sliding past like a teacher's finger under a word you should already know. I breathed like I'd been punched. I told myself there had to be another hitchhiker dressed the same. People buy the same things. A jacket's a jacket, but some details hook you. The way her shoes didn't match, one white sneaker, grayed with road dust, the other a darker running shoe with a split near the toe. It is not impossible for 2 people to have mismatched shoes, but it is the sort of coincidence the night loves to make feel personal. I drove on. Coffee tasted burnt. The hum from the reefer unit took on a mosquito whine. I rubbed my eyes and counted posts. At marker 145, the radio cracked into a weather alert that never arrived. At 144, the lines on the road shivered and braided, the way they do right before you take a micro nap you'll swear you didn't. I rolled the window down to let cold air slap me back into the cab. When the third time came, same shoulder, same girl, same exact folded stoop of the neck. The world inside the truck narrowed like a funnel. I clicked the blinker as if the signal could bless the act, then let it blink, uncommitted. My hand hovered over the Jake brake switch and fell back to the wheel. Somewhere long ago, I had promised someone I wouldn't pick up strangers anymore. Somewhere longer ago, I had made a different promise I hadn't kept. I reached for the CB, thumbed the talk button and asked, "Any units got eyes on 146? You seeing a pedestrian southbound shoulder?" A beat of silence. 2. Then a voice came through. Unlocated, flat across the band, like the wind itself speaking. "You missed her twice." The hair along my forearms stood up as if a breeze had walked through the truck. "Who is this?" I said, lungs a little short. "Identify." The radio hissed, settled, and returned the most unwelcome sound in the world. My own name. spoken in a woman's voice I couldn't place, patient as a tired nurse. "Evan," she said, "don't pass me again." I cut the transmission and looked up. The shoulder ahead shimmered in the heat mirage of my own high beams. Yellow, red backpack, palm down. This time, as I drew even, she lifted her face. Her eyes were the pale color of river water. And as the truck surged past, she lifted her hand again, not to ask this time, but to accuse, index finger tracking me like a barrel. I hit the air just to hear something I could name. In the mirror, she grew small, and then, impossibly, stood again in my headlights, a quarter-mile ahead, the exact same posture, the exact same lift of the arm, as if the road were a loop and I was the thing being tested. I eased my boot toward the brake, heart beating where the seatbelt crossed my chest. And then the dash cam went white. By the time the picture returned, my truck had rolled down to 40, and the reefer's hum sounded like breath in a plastic bag. The white smear on the screen thinned into bars, and then into picture. The girl filled the frame, closer than she should have been, as though the lens had stolen a step forward for me. The time code in the corner ticked backwards, numbers softening into a date my mind tried not to read. I put the hazards on. The night seemed to tilt in acknowledgement. Gravel pinged the undercarriage as I pulled to the shoulder. When the truck finally settled, a shudder moved through it. Something like relief, something like the thing a body does when it stops pretending. She didn't run to the cab the way most folks do. She walked up slow, like approaching an animal you don't want to spook. When I popped the passenger door, cold air folded into the warm funk of diesel and coffee and my own old sweat. She stood on the bottom step and looked in without climbing. Up close, she wasn't young, not old either. 29, 30. The yellow jacket had a tear near the cuff, mended with clear tape. The red backpack was smaller than I'd thought, almost a child's. Water darkened the hem of her jeans as though she'd been walking through ditch grass. "You headed west?" she asked. "Amarillo," I said, hearing my voice do the polite shape and hating it. She nodded and climbed in. When she swung the door, the interior light blinked off, but her smell, cold creek, wet cotton, the faint electrical bite of a battery gone bad, remained. She set the red pack between her shoes and folded her hands on top of it as if it were a sleeping animal. "I'm Evan," I said, "'cause you say something." "I know," she said. I smiled in the way you smile at odd things to keep them from becoming wrong things. "You from around here?" "Not anymore." She watched the mirror as though something behind us might change its mind. "Can you take the last exit before the bridge?" "There's no bridge on this run," I said, which was true and not. The big river cut the highway miles ahead, and the state had long ago replaced the old truss with a flat concrete span you didn't even notice if you were talking or tired. But men like me keep maps in our bodies. I knew the off-ramp she meant. It would loop us toward the county road that used to carry locals over the old ironwork. The state never pulled it down. It rotted itself quiet. "Company route set," I said. "If I deviate, I'll burn clock." She turned her face, and the dash threw a weak blue over her skin. There was dirt under one of her nails, a crescent like a new moon. "It won't take long," she said. "You owe me that." The CB gave a little throat-clearing burst like someone keying up and thinking better of it. I put us in gear. The truck heaved forward. We slid past the marker. The number stared at me as it went. 146. "How far you go?" I asked. "Past the river," she said, "near the cottonwood with the lightning scar." A picture unfolded in me I didn't want. Brown water, a torn bank. My jaw felt too tight. My left hand found the wheel's worn spot at 10 o'clock like a piece of evidence. "You carry that backpack everywhere?" I asked. "Not everywhere." Her gaze found the glove box and rested there. "Some places don't let you bring your past inside." We reached the sign for the exit she'd asked for. Last access before river. I had never noticed the smaller line of type beneath. County maintenance ends. The arrow jerked right, a suggestion taken as an order by a man who could not admit how fast his heart was beating. I took it. The pavement narrowed to a county road so long since painted that the middle was a rumor. Mesquite crept close to the shoulder like eavesdroppers. We bumped over expansion cracks that had forgotten what they were expanding. The truck's clock blinked. 2:13, 2:12, 2:11. I reached to tap it, and my hand hesitated in that useless air between belief and superstition. The clock settled on a date that made the back of my neck get cold. October 18th, 6 years ago. "You're doing fine," she said, a strange kindness in it that smelled like rain on hot dust. "Watch your speed." "I'm under," I said. "You were over," she said. "Then?" "You were over, and you were tired, and you told yourself you could make the river before you stopped." I felt something old and mean in me stir, the thing that hates being seen. "I don't know what you think you know," she nodded, accepting the lie like a coin she wouldn't spend. Left lane was closed for shoulder work. There were orange barrels. A car pulled onto the rumble strip to give you more room. You drifted. The trailer's wake tugged them the rest of the way. You didn't even feel it. Not really. You just knew. The road dipped. Trees enclosed the cab the way curtains enclose a bed. I could hear water before I could see it, a broad, asleep sound. Up ahead, something white flashed, low and regular, like a heartbeat you could watch. The old truss rose, black lace against a sky rubbed thin. A barricade strung with reflective diamonds barred the approach. On each tall sawhorse, a yellow light pulsed. I breathed in, tasted pond and rust. "Stop here," she said. I set the brake. The truck settled again, a big animal giving up. I killed the headlights. The dark came quick, relieved, and total. We listened to the river assemble itself out of smaller noises. "Open the glove box," she said. I reached. My fingers touched the envelope I had forgotten. And not. The cheap business card stationery I'd bought in Tucumcari the next day. The words I had written in a diner with linoleum checkerboard and coffee burned to tar. "To whoever you were, I am sorry. I never mailed it. You don't mail that kind of letter. You put it somewhere to rot into a story you can live with." She laid her hand on the dash, palm flat, the way a mother checks for fever. Her touch left a damp print, the light from the barricade learned and unlearned. "Do you know how long a body stays in black water?" she asked, and didn't wait for the answer. "Long enough for people to decide you ran away instead." I looked at her and saw the place where her jacket had torn, mended with clear tape. Beneath the tape, the fabric had been cut again, a small, careful square. Someone had wanted a piece of that yellow, as if to remember, as if to haunt. The red backpack between her feet shifted just a little, as though something inside had turned over to get comfortable. Without thinking, I reached down. "Don't," she said. Not sharp, but final. In the glass of the windshield, the barricade lights wrote slow Morse on our faces somewhere up the road. A night bird called once, twice, not again. The river kept on being the river. "Evan," she said, and when she used my name this time, it hurt. "You passed me 3 times. My throat closed. "What do you want?" Her eyes found mine. They had the tired, endless patience of people who have already paid. "A ride," she said, and lifted her chin toward the black water. "To the end." Something moved under the bridge, a foxfire glow that was not foxfire. Twin red coins, stacking slow as the silt moves. The CB clicked alive, and a man's voice came through from a year I had refused to live in. "Driver westbound, watch your lane. There's a small sedan. On the shoulder up ahead, looks like the driver's..." Hey. The river threw a cold breath across my knuckles. My hand found the key. "Don't turn it off," she said, and smiled a little, the way people do to show you they're about to ask something they shouldn't ask and you shouldn't grant. "What then?" I asked. She nodded toward the old truss, the barricade lights, winking their weary, faithful code. "Drive." There is a moment in every steer when the wheel goes soft, when it is no longer your hands moving the truck, but the shape of your life. We rolled forward. The barricade lights widened like pupils. The first sawhorse shivered in the bumper's draft and fell away, clattering against the asphalt with a taste of bright plastic and old dirt. The truss framed the river in black iron, and for a breath of time the truck's cab felt like a chapel. The faith you bring inside it, the only candle. "I don't think this holds," I said, though I kept the speed true, a funeral march measured in diesel. "It held," she said, and the tense did its work inside me. For them. For you. For a moment long enough to decide, the dash cam's time code steadied on the date I had folded and put away and pretended not to carry. October 18th, 2:13 a.m. Rain. I didn't feel spattered the lens. Static crawled the edges like ants. In the ghost picture, orange barrels glowed where none stood now. A small blue sedan hovered on the shoulder, hazard lights winking their halting prayer. A woman in a yellow jacket stood beside it. She was younger and not. She had both shoes matching. The red backpack was buckled into the back seat, a shape small enough to be anything. The past made a sound. Not thunder, not metal, just the sudden gulp of black water taking something it had been promised. "Stop," I whispered, but the truck carried us on like a sentence toward its verb. "You didn't," she said. And there was not blame in it, only the sort of statement tired cops make at the end of a long report. "You told yourself you were too heavy to stop on wet iron. You told yourself it was safer to clear the span and call from town. You told yourself they'd be fine." She reached for the backpack, unzipped it, and for a child heartbeat, I thought I would see a wet teddy, a Polaroid, a wallet with blooming river mold. She took out a plastic hairbrush with a cracked handle and a grocery receipt sealed in a Ziploc. The ink had bled and resoluted into ghosts of numbers. 10/17. Milk, diapers, flashlight batteries. "We didn't plan to be out late," she said. "We left my sister's after the baby fell asleep in the car. We took the county road because he was finally quiet. river made its unignorable sound. In the dashcam's split reality, the hazard lights of the blue sedan became two slow-breathing eyes, wide and wider, then irregular, then gone. The truss under us groaned a memory so loud I felt it through my boots. I could smell electrical insulation, that distant specific smell, the way a toy train smells when the transformer burns. I went back, I said, and the words found a place in my chest they'd been waiting for. I turned around at the next exit and I went back. After town, she said. After coffee. After a bathroom. You came back when the rain had stopped? When the men in yellow had put out cones, when the deputy waved you past? I called it in, I said, when I knew. You called it in, she agreed, putting the brush and the receipt back in the red bag with a carefulness that pierced me. But you did not say your name. I took us to the center of the span and set the brake. The big truck sighed, grateful to be still or resigned to it. Far below, the water's slow anatomy turned the moon into a bruise. For a moment, for the size of a small daughter's shoe, the urge to throw the envelope out the window took me hard. To watch it windmill once and slap the river and go down and be done. Men like me believe in the ritual of throwing and the lie of gone. What do you want me to do? I asked, and heard how the question had been inside every mile I'd driven since that night, hidden like a child under a coat. She looked out at the dark. Tell the truth, out loud, where the water has to hear you. I opened my mouth. My tongue felt made of rust. I pictured a deputy's calm face, the paperwork, the quiet scandal that is a man's ruin. I pictured a woman at a kitchen table somewhere, older now, who had learned to live with a hole, making room for a new chair that did not have to be there. I pictured a little boy with a red backpack or a little girl with a yellow jacket, or neither, or both, because grief is greedy and imprecise. My name is Evan Whitlow, I said, and the words were heavy and simple. 6 years ago, on October 18th, I crossed this river too fast and too sure. A small car gave me the lane. I drifted. The vacuum took them. I felt it in the wheel and in my ribs. And I told myself I'd imagined it. I did not stop. I did not give my name. I am saying it now. The CB clicked. A polite little sound, like a man tipping his hat. Somewhere on another frequency, a dispatcher asked a trooper about pie at a place that had been closed 10 years. The river accepted my voice and made no sign it had done so. The woman beside me nodded once, a verdict and a mercy. Thank you, she said. I waited for her to ask me to drive on, to deliver her to the cottonwood with the lightning scar, to end the ride with something like a blessing. Instead, she reached for the door handle and looked back at me with a tired amusement that hit me like recognition. I thought you wanted revenge, I said, because men think everything terrible must be owed. Revenge is for the living, she said, and swung down onto the iron. I lunged for the latch. The door opened onto a kind of quiet I hadn't heard in years. She stood on the bridge's spine, yellow jacket, a small, stubborn star. She lifted the backpack's strap onto her shoulder and walked to the rail. I half rose from the seat, and then I saw what I had missed. The way the jacket didn't quite touch her wrists, as if the arms were not fully there, as if fabric had remembered a shape the body had forgotten. She did not climb. She did not jump. She leaned. The jacket's yellow thinned. The river's black thickened. and for a breath there was an outline of a hand, smaller than hers inside her left sleeve, lifting with her. The two shapes blurred into one shape I knew and had not let myself know. "Wait," I said, though the word was just proof I hadn't learned when to be quiet. She turned half back the way a person does when someone calls their name from a doorway. The light from the barricade brushed her mouth. She smiled, a slow, private smile like people have when they find a thing they hid from themselves and it is right where they left it. "Drive safe," she said, and turned into the dark. There was no splash. There was nothing so crass as noise. There was the curve of river continuing to be river, with two red coins, far below guttering and going out. I sat until the truck's heater dulled, until the reefer cycled off, and the silence shook me. When I finally put us in gear and rolled forward, the barricade lights blinked after me as if we had exchanged a signal. Only the bridge knew. At the highway, I turned west and made the first call I should have made 6 years ago. The trooper on the other end took my name without surprise, as if certain names arrive eventually. He told me to pull into the county lot. He told me someone would meet me by the flagpole. I said I would. I meant it. A mile later, at marker 146, a woman in a yellow jacket raised her right arm, palm down. She had a red backpack. She hadn't been there a minute before. She hadn't been anywhere. I slowed without meaning to, and for a strange, mild moment I felt something like relief, like the world had not finished with me, and I did not deserve to be finished with. A flatbed ahead of me did not slow. Its tail lights winked once, the way hazard lights do when hands fumble with them in shock. The truck sailed by. In my mirror, the woman stepped from the shoulder into the long ribbon of night, her arm up, not asking, not accusing, simply insisting that someone, this time, would stop. I put my hand out to the blinker and rested it there, feeling the click under my fingertip. The light on the dash pulsed a patient, stolid rhythm. The river, 50 miles behind me, kept its appointment with the moon. I turned on my signal.